Okay, so before we start, I just want to warn you that this video is intended for educational purposes only, and none of the information provided should be taken as first aid advice of any kind at all. The only reason why I've deleted every other first aid video is because I forgot to tell you that all of these types of first aid videos you've seen on this channel, from how to treat minor cuts to how to treat minor burns or something like that, they were all just for informational purposes only and cannot and will not contain any first aid advice. So please, if by some chance you're watching this video, please ignore all of the information. Just ignore it, okay? Do not take any of the information as advice for first aid. Just ignore the information that was given by the previous first aid videos and all that stuff. Just ignore it, okay? Just completely just throw them out of your mind, because they're only for informational purposes and they are not to be taken as advice. Anyways, let's get back into the video. So, welcome back to another video, everybody. Today, I want to show you something real quick. So we've all heard of wound packing gauze, and this is a special type of gauze that is used for wound packing purposes. So if a tourniquet cannot be applied, or if a tourniquet fails, then we can literally apply wound packing gauze. Now, the major downside is wound packing gauze, it does not really have any sort of hemostatic agent inside of it, like Chitosan or Kaolin or something like that, and because of that, it cannot really speed up the clotting abilities, nor can it really stop any bleeding a lot faster, which is why I'm going over hemostatic agents. So remember when I first demonstrated bleed stop powder? Well, guess what though? Bleed stop also has a major downside. If it blows back and gets into the eyes or something like that, there can be a good chance that the eyes, they might start to clot and eyesight may be blocked. So that's why I would highly caution against using bleed stop powder itself. Instead, just go for hemostatic gauze. So let's go over hemostatic gauze. So hemostatic gauze is a gauze that is treated with a hemostatic agent, either Kaolin or Chitosan, that helps promote blood clotting abilities to help stop bleeding. For example, if I were to go for quick clot or something like that, I can definitely pack the quick clot type of gauze right in the wound. So here's the difference between Kaolin and Chitosan in hemostatic gauze. Kaolin is a type of mineral that literally works on factor 12, which is one of the many factors in your clotting cascade that speeds up the clotting process to help stop bleeding faster. Now, while it is it's really great for most type of bleeding, but it's not good for all types of bleeding, because the major downside is if you're in a hypothermic environment, the blood clotting abilities may be compromised by cold temperatures, or if you're ever in some kind of situation where you might find somebody who they are not clotting normally at all, then that's also a major downside as well. So like I said, this is all just for educational purposes only. None of this is first aid advice. No, none of that, okay? So therefore, I would actually go for some other alternatives like Celox or something like that. Celox first aid gauze, it is impregnated with chitosan that literally forms a muco-adhesive right at the source of bleeding, and that muco-adhesive attracts platelets and negatively charged red blood cells that to help stop bleeding a lot faster. Now, and this works a lot better, and it works independently of the clotting cascade. And the reason why that is great for hypothermic environments is because the thing is that it works independently of the clotting cascade. So even if the clotting cascade was compromised, or the blood clotting abilities was compromised by hypothermia, Celox works great. Now, some minor downsides are, sometimes it's not always feasible for everyone and it cannot always be accessible. So, here's my recommended strategy. Now, just so you know, it is not first aid advice. It's just for educational purposes, all right, from my opinion. It's not a fact, it's just from my opinion. Like, you can do whatever strategy that works for you. So, it's just my opinion. So number one, I would recommend going for both Celox and Quick Clot, like Celox First Aid Gauze, along with Quick Clot Bleeding Control Dressing. These two are the best because then you can have hemostatic agents for like different types of environments, like different types of situations. Like if by some chance, the blood clotting abilities work perfectly fine and you're not really in a hypothermic environment, then you do not really need to justify using Celox, and you can just go for Quick Clot. But in a situation where the blood clotting abilities are compromised, or you're in a hypothermic environment, then Quick Clot might not do well, and Celox might work better. So yeah. Anyhow, that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoy, and if you did, have a great day. And just remember, like, the reason why I deleted all of the other first aid videos is because I forgot to tell you that all of these first aid videos that you've seen on this channel, like from how to treat minor cuts to how to treat like burns or something like that, they were all just for educational purposes only, and they are not to be taken as first aid advice. No, none of these are first aid advice. The information given, none of the information that was given from any of my previous first aid videos was ever meant to be taken as first aid advice. So that was only for educational purposes only. And yes, this first aid video right here, right now, is also meant for educational purposes only and is not to be taken as first aid advice. So whatever you do, please ignore all of the information that was given by my previous first aid videos. Please just ignore them, okay? Because they're not to be taken as advice. They're just for educational purposes. So always refer to authoritative sources, because I'm just a first aid enthusiast. Literally, so I'm just a first aid enthusiast, meaning I'm not really within an authoritative source at all. So therefore, all of this is just educational, and nothing is ever to be taken as first aid advice, nor is any of the information from any of my previous videos ever to be taken as first aid advice. They're just for educational purposes only. So whatever you do, please disregard any information given by my previous first aid videos. Please ignore them, okay? Instead, just take them, okay, this is for educational purposes only, and I must cross-reference that with authoritative sources. Yeah, always refer to authoritative sources, and make sure that you're always fact-checking everything that I am telling you. Make sure you fact-check it. Cross-reference that with authoritative sources, so that way you know what is, correct and what is incorrect. Anyhow, that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoy, and if you did, have a great day, and remember, stay smart and stay safe.